Thank you so much for being here, for giving up your afternoon. I know you're going to find it worthwhile. I hope everyone is well and healthy, and you will be even smarter after the next 3 hours that you spend here. So enjoy. I just want to say thank you to our staff and coordinators who have worked very hard to put this on. Carla in particular has made sure that all of the Zoom aspects of this will go easily. And so thank you to Paul, Christine, Cassidy, Carla, Abel, Harry, Joe, Eric. It's been a project for everyone, and it actually has included our board members. Our board president, John McAllister, has been very hands-on in helping us get through this Corona virtual plan for this season. And so it's taken a village, and everyone has done a great job. And I know that we're all going to be in it for the long run, and that it will be very positive. So thank you for being here today. And I know you will enjoy. We had a great morning. So I would like to welcome Melissa Christian. She's the manager of nonprofit and community partnerships for the McCourt Foundation, and she's going to give us a little update on everything marathon. So Melissa.
Thanks, Marsha. As she said, I am the manager of nonprofit and community relations for the McCourt Foundation. We officially became the McCourt Foundation in January, and my role shifted a little to really focus on impact. So I get to look at everything we're doing and making sure that it supports our mission, which is building a healthier world. And our team believes SRLA really aligns perfectly with that mission. I got to attend the earlier session and was just blown away by how organized and prepared you guys are. I shared that with our team. We're so thankful that you're committed in doing this, because we know how important it is for the students' physical and mental well-being, especially right now. So just wanted to say thanks on behalf of our entire team. We are really committed to putting on an event. Obviously we don't know what that's going to look like. We're so thankful we made it through as sort of the last major event to take place before COVID. We hope that we're going to be one of the first to go again. Obviously, like you guys, we're planning, or we're prioritizing health and safety of all of our participants and our volunteers. So, not knowing what's going to happen, a lot of you have probably seen, we have a new deferral policy that's posted on our site. So if we do need to cancel the race, which obviously is the absolute last resort, runners would be able to defer within the next 3 years. So 2022, 23, or 24. That being said, that is the absolute last resort. We'll do whatever we can. We're working on a number of different contingency plans and safety precautions to hopefully hold the race. I think most of you have probably heard about the course change, which is our other big update. And those of you who have run the race before, I know a lot of people are very passionate about the Santa Monica finish. We are too. But ultimately the choice was made that it's better to have a race than not have a race. It being very candid, and I think we're going to share a little bit more based on the feedback we've gotten since we've announced it. It just was not a financially viable option for us to continue with the same course, unfortunately. So the course change allows us to use, kind of go back on the same route that we came. So we don't have to apply for any new permitting or approvals or close any more streets. So again, it does allow us to move forward. I just also to share with you, we're really committed to making that a good experience. Because we will double back. We will be able to provide just a ton of entertainment and support. And that is our goal, just to make it the best race that we can and the best finish that we can. Hopefully we are able to add grandstands and have a ton of entertainment, and all COVID, depending on COVID, just make it an incredible finish for everyone. So our team is really committed to that. And the last thing I will share is, I didn't get to share this on the morning meeting, but I had talked to our head of broadcast this afternoon. And for Santa Monica Classic, that's a totally virtual event now. We are doing a live broadcast for that race. And so we're going to be following some runners and doing live coverage of people virtually running that event. So if any of you or any of your students are doing the virtual Santa Monica Classic and want to kind of give Paul a heads up, I would love to loop you in with our broadcast team and see if we can get some coverage of SRLA and promote SRLA in that virtual broadcast.
Melissa, you guys are going to be receiving an email. Excuse me. I'm sorry to interrupt, but you'll be getting an email, I think, shortly announcing the Santa Monica Classic and the Conquer Challenge with information on how to register for the Santa Monica Classic virtually. And keep in mind that if you're going to try to meet the Conquer Challenge requirements, you have to use the same email that you use on your SRLA roster when signing up. So it's clearly stated in the email that's going out to all you guys today. So thank you, Melissa.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. And that was really it for me. But if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Now's your chance. We have a couple of minutes. Anybody like to pick Melissa's brain?
I do, Melissa. I have a question.
Sure.
Can you say who you are first and just kind of let us know who you are?
I'm David Dorr from Madrid. Is it true that Santa Monica no one offered permits for us to finish the race? Was that part of it at all?
Sorry, I heard, is it true that Santa Monica, and then was it a question about permits?
Yeah, is it true that Santa Monica did not want the runners to finish in their city?
Oh, no, it was strictly a financial, unaffordable situation.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hi, I have a question too. Ben Bravo, Carson High School.
Hi.
My question is, can you share with us what the finish line is going to look like in Century City?
So we're working that out. The turnaround will be, I believe, on Montana Avenue right now. And so you run into Brentwood, turn around, and then you will make a right onto Avenue of the Stars off of Santa Monica. So you'll turn right in by the big CAA building. If anybody's familiar with that, there's a big green space there. What exactly it's going to look like, I'm not sure. And we're definitely looking into where Students Run LA will go. We have a couple of options that Paul will be following up with everybody on. But we will hope to build it out with grandstands in a very exciting finish area, probably in that big green area right off of Avenue of the Stars.
As Melissa's been really, really supportive. The whole entire McCourt Foundation have been terrific with Student Run LA.
Well, and our team is really committed to making it a huge finish. I mean, they understand, we all understand the impact of changing the course and just want to make it as amazing as we can. So what exactly that means, unfortunately, I don't have specifics, but it should be really good.
That's awesome.
I got one quick question for Melissa. Is that all right, Paul? I'm looking at you.
Go.
All right.
Yeah,
Brian Pfeffer from Animo South LA. Thank you for being here, Melissa. I just have a question looking back to March 8th. Is your team confident that, students and participants, we had an event where we didn't have any known cases of COVID spreading at that time? Because I look back at that week and I was like, what a thing to squeak that out. But also I read like, oh, if we had locked down a week sooner or 2 weeks sooner. I'm just wondering if you've heard anything and you want to share.
In terms of the March 8th event, thankfully, I don't think any of us knew, at least our team was not aware because they were working so closely with the city and the health department, how crazy it was going to be just a few days later. But we haven't had any reported cases. And I feel like if, that's something people aren't shy to let us know. There's not really been any feedback or incident of anything happening after the race. Thank goodness.
And it would make sense if as we'll see later on in our next presentation, as to likely why it didn't create a spreader. And in fact, we're in a good position as we get to the next March to be able to do this event. So I think we're good, pretty good to go.
I do have a question, sorry. This is Veronica Medina from Dodson Middle School. My question is, I mean, and it's hard to know, to anticipate, but do you know if there are going to be any different protocols in terms of if there is an actual event? That would look like?
It's a good question. I mean, we don't know that yet. We've certainly, we're building out contingencies where we could pace out the waves more, create more waves. We're taking all of that into consideration, maybe having people bring their own water bottles and figuring out a way to have filling stations versus volunteers handing out cups. So we are looking into all of those types of things, changes that can be made. We did add a ton of hand sanitizing stations to the course last year, right as this was all kind of unfolding. So obviously that would all take place too. But there will be, all of those details will definitely be very seriously implemented. And I just wanted to mention too, Eric or Paul, if I could get a copy of the presentation from the doctors at UCLA, that was fantastic. I would love to share that with our team too.
Yeah, I'll send you a link, Melissa. Dr. Goldman's here again today, so
great.
We'll be sure and pass it on to you. Yeah.
Thank you.
And I think with that, we will move over to introduce Christine to introduce our OIC guest.
Yes. Hi, everyone. It's great to see everybody. And we're really excited to continue our partnership with OIC. We are now entering our 4th year of our partnership with the Orthopedic Institute for Children at UCLA. Summer Runnestead is the sports medicine program manager. She's the one who connected our two organizations, and she's the one that you will reach out to if any of your students have injuries and they need to be seen at OIC. First, you're going to hear from Dr. Miller. She's going to give you an update on our injury study from 2018-2019. And then she is going to be followed by Dr. Goldman, who's a fellowship director and assistant professor at UCLA Division of Sports Medicine. He's also an avid runner with the Electric Light Run Club. And for this purposes, he's also an expert in COVID-19. He's advising the Pac-12. So we are very lucky to have him. I know that everybody who listened to the presentation this morning learned lots, and I look forward to hearing it again.
Thanks, Christine. It's always exciting to be back for this leader meeting. I wish we could be doing this in person. It's much more fun, I think, to see everyone's face in real life, although the Zoom is the new normal for us. We're excited as part of UCLA Sports Medicine and OIC to continue to support SRLA. I have long said that this is one of the most incredible organizations I've ever worked with. What we're doing for the student athletes that we have the opportunity to work with is nothing short of incredible. And because of our partnership, the research we've been able to do, we have actually started to change policy in the way that we approach youth distance running across the country. So Dr. Miller and myself collaborate with researchers all over the country, looking at youth distance running, trying to make it as safe as possible for the participants. And we have been able to publish some very cool new research based on our work with SRLA. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Miller, who's going to share some of our findings from the past couple of years, and then some plan for what we're hoping to do this year amidst COVID.
All right, thanks, Dr. Goldman. Hopefully you can all see this. So I'm just gonna give a brief update on what we learned from the 2018-2019 marathon season, and then as well as some information from this past year. As a big thank you, first of all, to all of you leaders for filling out those weekly injury surveys and then that initial demographics information, because without that, we wouldn't be able to do any of this. So thank you for all of you guys for submitting those weekly injury reports. We appreciate them very, very much. So in 2018-19, we added in questions with regards to like prior injury, as well as concurrent sports participation and prior marathon participation. What we found, we have a pretty even breakdown in our almost 1,500 runners that we were able to look at of male and female runners. And a significant number had completed one or more prior marathons, which is great to see. We also knew those who had participated previously in SRLA. And then we also were able to look and see how many had prior injuries. We were missing about 30% of the information with regards to those who may have had prior injuries. Similar to previous years, we see a similar breakdown with regards to the location of the injuries for these runners. So primarily being in the knee and then the lower leg, foot, and ankle. We looked at injury rates per 1,000 person miles run. And so we can follow it over the course of the weekly training program. We do see a little bit of a spike right at the beginning and then about halfway through the training program. And then the spike around week 10 does correspond with sort of a consistent increase in mileage up until that point. We did a pretty comprehensive statistical analysis to try to find out what are the most significant risk factors for injuries in these student runners. And what came out was female gender. So being female was associated with a much higher risk of sustaining a running related injury in this group. And then we also found that prior injury was a risk factor for a new running related injury. So those who had previously had an injury were had a much higher chance of sustaining an injury than those who had never previously been injured. We did also look at BMI, whether runners were in middle versus high school, if they had previously participated or previously completed a marathon, as well as if they were playing other sports during the time that they were training for the marathon, and none of those were found to be significant risk factors for sustaining a running related injury. So this is all very excellent to support that it is safe for these kids to be running, and that it's also healthy for them if they want to participate in other sports, that they can do that as well. So the biggest thing to take away is that we know we can't, if we can reduce the risk of that first injury, we're going to help protect people long term. So knowing that people have had a prior injury, those people are just going to be more likely to get injured over the course of the training program. And then our female athletes are just more likely to be injured as well. Each year we work to improve data collection. So some of this may not be as accurate because we were missing demographic information on about a third of the student runners, but it's a good, it builds on what we know. So it's excellent addition to the literature. I wish that we had our 2019-2020 data analysis. I sent it off to the statistician at the beginning of June. And then, as with all things recently, COVID. So our stats department at UCLA, I think they have about 20 people, and they have all been redeployed to doing COVID-related research that's time sensitive. So as soon as I have research from this past year, I will share it with all of you guys. He promises that he will do it once things slow down. One thing that we were able to look at with regards to this past year, so the 2020 marathon, we looked at finishing times for the runners and looked at it based on gender, previous participation, and age. And so this is only about a 10-minute difference, but we do see overall that our middle school runners do tend, on average, to run a little bit slower than our high school runners. Interestingly, when we look at the female runners, there's not much difference between middle school and high school, but we do see that the high school male runners do tend to run on average faster than their middle school counterparts. When we look at those who have participated previously, they do tend to get faster with time. And then just in general, our female runners versus our male runners, the males tend to run a little bit faster. So what are we doing for this season? Again, with COVID, we have to evolve and adapt. So instead of doing the weekly training surveys, knowing that that would be incredibly challenging in a virtual environment, Dr. Goldman's going to touch on this, but there are a lot of benefits to exercising, and especially in the midst of a very stressful situation. So we're hoping to develop a survey that we'll send out to the high school students a couple of times over the training program, just to learn more about the impact that participating has had on their well-being. We hope to continue in 2021, 2022 with our original plans for this year, where we were going to incorporate some biomechanics and gait analysis for a subset of students, as well as hopefully going back to those weekly injury surveys. And we do have a grant from the AMSSM to support our research at that time. And I think that's it.